Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a video giving my final sort of conclusive thoughts, been intending to do this for a while, on Joe's group. Alright, good stuff. So I've been intending to do this video for quite a while and just kind of give my conclusive thoughts on Joe's group now that, of course, they're not going to be in the Walking Dead television series anymore. There wasn't really an equivalent of them in the comic books. These were new characters, basically. Some people have said their equivalent is the Marauders from the comic book series, which, I mean, you know, time-wise it makes sense, but they're completely different characters. So they even have, you know, they look completely different, they behave completely different. There's really nothing about them that's similar to the comic book series, aside from maybe some instances that happen that are similar to what happened in the books, right? So they're kind of intended to be based on them, but they're totally different, right? Similar, I would say, even more so, you know, further away from the original version than the Governor. Like David Morrissey's Governor is he's quite a bit different from the original comic books Governor in that he looks totally different. The storyline's different. Joe's Marauders, or Joe's group, is even more distant or even less similar than the Governor, David Morrissey's Governor, is to the comic book Governor, I would have to say. So I like them both. I like the TV versions better of the Governor and of Joe's group. So on the wiki, Joe's group is listed as, here, I'll just read it off to you guys. It says, Joe is a minor antagonist in the second part of The Walking Dead Season 4 on AMC. He is a survivor of the zombie apocalypse and is the leader of a group of marauders, or at least that's the name that people gave them. I don't know if that's official or anything, but anyway, in terms of them as a group of villains and how they were handled in The Walking Dead Season 4, I thought they were handled pretty damn well. I thought they did a good job with them. I think they could have given them maybe a little bit more time, because I personally really enjoyed seeing them, and they didn't get all that much time. They were kind of brought in, like here it says, a minor antagonist. So, and yeah, he was. His group was like a minor antagonist. They were basically characters that are just kind of out there. I don't want to say to fill time, because I did like what they used them to do, which is essentially to help you know, lead Daryl back to the rest of the group, and also, you know, through Rick and then into Terminus, and also to sort of show the evolution of Rick and what lengths he's willing to go to keep Carl and you know, Michonne and everybody in the group safe, basically. So they were handled pretty well, I think. Somebody sent me, thank you for that, by the way, I didn't write down your name, but a picture from after The Walking Dead Season 4 after, which would be episode 9, right? When Carl and Rick go into that, like, steakhouse, is it? I think, something like that. There's actually a letter, because there's a zombie in there, and it says, please do what I couldn't, and it says Joe Jr. And I thought that was pretty cool, because I think that, you know, that's obviously supposed to mean that that's where Joe, you know, that's probably Joe's dad there, that they put down. That zombie is him. So unless it's just some other Joe out there, which, of course, you know, it's intended to be, you know, for him. So I think that's kind of a cool little Easter egg for them that I didn't notice at first. So thank you, the person who sent that to me. If you guys want to take a look through that, you can see it. They pick up a piece of paper and it says that on it. So that's kind of a cool little tie-in there, of course, before we meet them in, when is their first appearance? Claimed, I want to say? Yeah, Claimed, when we don't even... We kind of see him, but he's just outside eating and throwing the tennis ball, that kind of stuff. So I guess that would technically be the group's first appearance. So that's a pretty good lead, and I think it's nice that they planted that little seed there, and then later on they, you know, came back to it with Claim, with actually us running into the group. So I thought it was interesting how they sort of quickly became adversaries of Rick with the choices that that he made and that they made. Now, did Rick do the right thing there by killing Lou and you know, not trusting them? Well, based on what he was hearing, you know, because I really like how they shot this, because from his angle we hear basically this group of just reckless idiots, and they're actually murdering somebody outside, right? You can hear that in the background. If you listen carefully, you'll hear them putting somebody down. He's begging for his life. Now, do we know if it's just some other person out there? Do we know if it's a member of their group, maybe, that broke the rules? Who knows? I will probably never know. But from Rick's perspective, I think he did the right thing. With what input he was given, you know, hearing what they were doing outside to the other person, he did what he had to do to survive. So killing Lou. I thought it was an interesting kind of reveal later on that I didn't even pick up on right away, which is that because he killed Lou, Joe's group began tracking him because they wanted revenge, because Joe cared for Lou, obviously. So it's kind of interesting how, is Rick in the right? Is he in the wrong with regards to what he did there? I don't know. How would things have gone if he just kind of was like, whoa, hey, I'm staying here. I've got my own group. They're off right now. I've got, a son, whatever. How would they have handled it? Would they have just gone their separate ways and everything had been okay? I don't know, because Joe has those rules. Maybe that's what exactly would have happened. So it's kind of funny when you think retrospectively that, well, what if Rick just came out and said, hey, I'm staying here right now. You guys can have the place, but everything's good. You guys can do whatever you want. I'm leaving because I got to go find, Michonne and Carl or whatever. What would have happened? Would they have killed him and just taken his stuff? Lou did say later that, to Daryl, that's why I didn't kill you for the crossbow, because we have rules. We got to live by rules. But also, it kind of seemed like to me they wouldn't let people leave their group either. Now, when it came to Daryl and Daryl wanting to leave Joe's group, Joe didn't say he couldn't leave. He said he could leave, whatever. There ain't no us, okay, fine, are you leaving right now? That type of thing. He didn't, then it sure sounds like there's an us. He didn't tell Daryl he couldn't leave. But it's kind of one of those situations where, what are the rules with his group with regards to people just leaving the group? Do they allow people to just walk away? Or if they're not with them, do they kill them and take their stuff? We'll never know that. I think that's hard to say. But I think with his code, and based on us seeing that he was just kind of like a regular person, he didn't seem like a convict or something like that from local jail or anything, the prison that they were staying at. I think it's probably safe to assume, and I think this is kind of funny, that if Rick didn't do that, they may have just let him go, and that had been it, right? And that's it. Maybe if Daryl just wanted to leave the group and that's it, they would have let him go too. There's really no way for us to know. It's kind of a hypothetical. Based on his rules, though, I would say that they probably would have. They probably would have. It's just that, because it seemed like the other people there and the things they were saying, the other characters in the group, when they thought Daryl had left and he was just hunting, they said he doesn't have the skin to go it alone, which is kind of stupid because he was alone when they found him. But anyway, but we don't give them much credit for their intelligence. They're not all that smart. But it seemed to me like basically they were there by their own, like they wanted to be there. They wanted to be a part of Joe's group. They didn't want to leave. They could have, but they didn't. So I think that's kind of funny that this whole thing happened, but it really didn't need to. Now the whole thing is, we don't know for sure, but if the person that they were killing, when we heard from Rick's point of view and claimed, was a member of their group, if he wasn't, then that means something different. Then that means that they have rules for their own, but maybe they don't have rules for other people. So we can't really absolutely say for sure logically one way or another, I don't think. But anyway, with regards to the group, I thought their rules were interesting. I thought it was kind of a nice little take on what they do in a zombie apocalypse, to have these certain sets of rules to keep everyone in line and keep everyone working together as a team rather than killing each other, and how Len, of course, breaks the rules, and Joe's got that saying, teach them all the way, which is kill them, basically, teach them 100%, and then, of course, they do. So Len was a character that, he was kind of there just to kind of get on Daryl's nerves, it seemed like, and to show us about the rules, to kind of teach us how these rules work and all that. Let's see. In addition to that, leading up to the finale and the way they were handled in the finale, I liked quite a bit too. I thought it was quite a bit of fun. And, of course, the bite from Rick and everything. And, here's what he says, or I'll just read the quote from the wiki, what he says to Rick in the final episode. He says, see now, that's right. It's not some damn lie. Look, we can settle this. We're reasonable men. First, we're going to beat Daryl to death. Then we'll have the girl, then the boy, and then I'm going to shoot you and we'll be square. Because, of course, he killed Lou, so it was kind of one of those types of things. So that was a pretty intense scene. I liked when Daryl kind of told him these are good people, and Joe immediately turned on him like, that's a lie, Daryl, that's a lie. So very well acted by Jeff Kober. I think, of course, out of the whole group, he's going to be the most memorable one. I want to say him and Len. And I did like them quite a bit in the end of season 4, like in the second half. It definitely added a lot to the second half, where you don't just have the group surviving on their own out there, but you have this small group, which isn't really a huge enough threat to really, be something to worry about, like the governor or Merle, right? The governor and Merle, I should say. Where as soon as they'll see you, they'll kill you, or they'll grab you and take you and find out where you're at and steal all your stuff, right? Like a pirate. So they are a pretty interesting group, and I thought they added quite a bit to the second half of season 4. If we didn't have them in the second half of season 4, to be honest, it would have been a lot more boring. So I did like it quite a bit. Now, of course, moving on with Terminus, they're dead. Rick, of course, and the others put them all down, killed them all with Daryl and Michonne and Carl too. I guess you can count them in there. I thought they were a really fun group. I thought they were really interesting. So those are kind of my final thoughts. Kind of do a character spotlight on Joe's group, the Marauders, so to speak. I thought they were a really fun group in the series, and they could have even been used a little bit more. I didn't get tired of them personally. I thought that they could have even gone more and used, given them more time. Even though they didn't, they probably could have if they wanted to, because they were a pretty interesting group. Now, one of the things is that some people have pointed out that earlier on in the season, some of the boards that were tied to the guys who were missing their heads and stuff, like some of them would say like liar, rich bitch, do we know exactly who did that? Was it Joe's group? Was it the people of Terminus? Was it somebody else entirely? I mean, we don't know for sure. I think it's kind of interesting that some of the things that are written are similar to Joe's rules, like the one says rapist, the one says liar, and different things like that. So I think that's entirely possible. The people from Terminus, if they had killed those people, I would think they would have taken the bodies, right, with their style. So I think you can probably conclude it wasn't them. So it was either Joe's group or somebody else entirely, and we really don't know. But again, he's got those rules, so maybe it wasn't Joe's group. Maybe he just gets a bad rap for it just because of the situation and what it looks like. So I don't know. A lot of unknowns about the group because we didn't spend that much time with them. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, there's a lot of things going on in a zombie apocalypse. I don't think there should be a season where we know exactly what happened at every step of the way, all the way through. So in terms of my thoughts on Joe's group as sort of minor villains in the series, I thought they were really great. Lots of fun to fill out the season, and an interesting take on seeing a different type of group, totally made up of guys with a leader like Joe, and how he has rules like that. Rick could even learn from that, maybe later on take some of those rules into consideration when he's in control of a group somewhere. So let me know what you guys think about that, and what you thought about Joe's group. And if you have any other video suggestions, please feel free to send them to me. I would like to continue doing Walking Dead videos pretty much every day or almost every day as long as I can. Anyway, I'll call it here. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev, as always, and I'm saying peace.